feeling good too? You're looking good. Okay. I know. I love it for playing the piano. I know when I'm playing really fast because it gets in my face. Good morning, everyone. Oh, come on in here and let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, that's wonderful. Good morning if you're online or you're in this church. I'm so excited to be here today with all of you. And I want to say, first off, before I get started, happy Purim. Yeah. Let's say that back. Happy Purim. We're going to be talking about that today. Before I go any further, though, I am the Reverend Mandy Goheen, and it is my great honor to serve this congregation. My pronouns are she, her, and welcome to this space. I'm so excited to see the faces and the people around. I'm so excited by the opportunity to join in shared ministry today, and I hope that not only are you here as members who are voting after the service, but you're also here to learn a little bit about the story of Esther and about Women's History Month and why women are amazing. So I already knew that. Our opening words are a Purim call to worship by Sharon Weil. For millennia, people have gathered together to hear stories, to root for the underdog, to jeer the evil and the unkind. We see in our stories mirrors to our own lives, where we hope things will happen to good people and that evil will be vanquished. This morning we gather for story, for cheering and jeering, for hope and for justice. May the ancient story shed new light on our own lives, and may we know ourselves connected to millions of listeners who have come before us and millions of listeners who will come after. Let us join worship together. And now I'd like to invite forward for our social justice moment, Judy. Did I mention it was Women's History Month? I'm kind of a fan. You're going to mention it? All right.
Is there a slide?
Yes. There's a slide.
Hello? Is this on?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
on.
Okay, great. I dug this up from the 1980s, ERA. I thought it would be a great way to start Women's History Month, where the Social Justice Committee will do it, Social Justice Moments, but I thought we would not just dwell on the women that we most know about, Susan B. Anthony and stuff. We'll give you a few other things. So I wanted to start with the ERA. My mother was very active. She became active in her late 50s to help support the ERA, and I joined right in with her. The ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, was first read publicly by Alice Paul, the founder of the Women's Party in Seneca Falls in 1923. In 1978, 100,000 people marched in her honor in Washington in support of the ERA. Many famous women worked diligently for its passage, including First Lady Betty Ford. At the time, even the Girl Scouts of the USA's National Board supported its passage before the country turned a little conservative. If you ever want to know more about Girl Scouts, I worked there for 28 years, so I got a lot of history. Today, the ERA is pending removal of an arbitrary deadline for ratification and then being recognized as part of the Constitution. The two requirements for passage have been met. One, the approval by 2/3 of both chambers of Congress, which was done in the 1970s, and two, ratification by 3/4 of the states. Virginia became the 38th state needed to ratify the ERA in January 2020, and recognition of the ERA as an amendment to the Constitution was blocked by the Trump administration. In January of this year, Representatives Anana Presley from Massachusetts, Senator Ben Cardin from Maryland introduced a joint resolution to affirm the ratification of the ERA, removing that arbitrary deadline. And then just this past Tuesday, on February 28th, a Senate Judiciary Committee held a hearing on the ERA and constitutional law scholars were to testify that Congress has full authority to amend the Constitution and that the ERA is not subject to filibuster. I couldn't find any updates from Tuesday, but write your senators and tell them to support the amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Judy, will you please light our chalice as we join you in the chalice lighting words? In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And to light chalices. And it's about time for our story for all ages, though. Can I see the next slide? Please. Oh, wait, never mind. It's the opening song. I've been gone 2 weeks, apparently. Apparently, I forgot the order of things. Do you want to introduce the song?
So this is a hymn that has a melody that will be very familiar to you. The lyrics are not in any of our hymn books yet. Probably should be. So before we're going to carry on our new tradition of greeting each other first, I'm going to play the song through only 2 times. That means you've got 2 times to greet everyone. You might need to stay in your spot and wave, but I hope you'll greet the people around you and then be ready to sing. We belong to one another. Please stand and greet one another, and then we'll sing together. We belong to one another, to each other we are bound, as we build a world together, full of joy that we have found. What we are, we owe each other. When they need us, we respond. We belong to one another, and
Please be seated. Okay, now the slide. So on Purim, it is traditional to tell the story of Esther. And Purim is a holiday in the Jewish tradition that is kind of silly and fun. And it's about celebrating. It's about what I like to call storming the castle from the inside, making change from within. And it's about an amazing woman named Esther. But I'm going to need some help. So can I have the next slide, please? It is traditional that when this story is told, we make some noise together. So we're going to practice. So when I say Esther, we're going to go, ooh, ah, she's so pretty. And then when I say Haman, and that's that guy back by the curtain sneaking around. When I say Haman, we're going to go, boo, hiss. Okay, perfect. All right. We got it? We got it. So this is tradition. The other tradition is we get to break, and not I say we as if I am not Jewish, but breaking mitzvahs is the rules about kosher living is part of the tradition. And one of the things, and I know this looks very racy, but I am wearing linen mixed with rayon today. Very racy. Also drinking responsibly is involved. So it's a party thing. The coolest thing is many children in the Jewish tradition dress up like we dress up for Halloween. But it's kind of cool because instead of begging for candy, they go and give gifts. It's a giving holiday. There's also a piece of it where you go and donate or do a good deed. So today, we're going to do some good deeds after church. And I'm going to find out if you don't. So here is the story of Esther. Yes! Long ago in a country called Persia, there was a king named Xerxes and a queen named Vashti. Well, you know, married people get kind of in arguments and don't quite understand each other sometimes. And so the king told Vashti, I want you to come and show people how beautiful you are as a queen. And Vashti heard it a little different, which was only wearing your crown. And she was like, no, thank you. I'm not going to show off my beauty only wearing a crown. I refuse to participate, which was grounds for divorce and execution. So that was a big deal. There's our first powerful woman in this story, right? To make matters worse, a man named Haman was whispering in the king's ear and guiding him on nasty, patriarchal, meaning against women, ways. Haman was happy the queen was gone, but he wanted someone to take her place and show off. And so Haman decided to have a beauty contest. And when Haman, so that the king... Yeah, right? So when the beauty contest happened, in strolls Esther. And Esther, cat calls. Esther is clearly, oh no, she is clearly the prettiest one there. And so is quickly chosen to be the queen. But what the king doesn't know is that Esther is Jewish. And hiding that from the king of Persia, this is going to go so bad. Anyway, Esther has a, I did this to myself, a cousin, and her cousin is helping. Now I'm going to use pronouns more than I usually do. Her cousin is helping her through the process of being queen and is advising her and overhears some people. Listen to me, I'm like trying to not use any names. Overhears the king's guard plotting to kill him. And so Malachi, who is the cousin, tells, I think that's the right name, Mordecai, thank you. I knew it was one of the Mordecai tells Esther, and Esther tells the king. Oh, yeah. And is saved. But everybody forgets about that and goes on with their partying. Haman is such a partier. he loves playing dice. And in that time, dice are also referred to as lots. And so Haman convinces the king that he's going to cast lots to see what date the Jews will be executed. Boo, hiss again. Not knowing that Esther is Jewish. So it puts Esther in a position, a position of influence. And so Esther knows what they love. They love a party. So she throws the king and Haman a party. Well, they love drinking, those two. And so they get a little saucy. Because there's another thing against the law for women at that time, or anyone, is to make a direct request of the king. And Esther is going to make a direct request to the king to not exterminate the Jewish people, which seems pretty reasonable to me. And she's afraid. She's afraid. She's been put in a position of being on the inside of something kind of scary and hard for her people, and she needs to be there to lead them. But she also has to identify where her power is, and her power is her beauty and persuasion. And so the first party, she doesn't quite get the nerve up, so she's like, you come back to the party tomorrow. They get drunk again, and Esther is trying to talk them into not killing the Jews. Meanwhile, Mordecai, no, is that right? Yeah, I did it right. Mordecai, who doesn't have a thing we say after his name, thank goodness. Mordecai has saved the king in the previous chapter, right? And so Esther also knows this. Haman has also been after Mordecai and has erected a stake outside of town to impale him on. That's the bad dude right there. Well, something happens. Esther changes the king's mind and suddenly reminds the king that Mordecai had saved him, and Haman is forced to lead Malachi through the city on a glorious horse and show him off because he saved the king. Mordecai is gaining power here. Haman, boo hiss, is starting to get found out. When the king discovers the whole plot to the story, guess who gets to use the stake? Haman. So Haman is actually executed, and Esther is the queen, and in order to celebrate the fact that the Jewish people are once again saved from extermination, Esther throws a party. And so it is traditional during this time to throw a little party and to drink a little bit and wear linen mixed with rayon and do some things that are outside the mitzvahs or the rules of the Jewish people. The moral of the story, which is really interesting, is Esther's awesome. Ooh-ah. But the thing is, God, this is a Bible story. This is a Torah story. Where's God in all of this? This is one of the places God isn't present. It's one of the places where an individual's bravery from the inside changes everything. It's a place where being good in your heart doesn't mean you're perfect on the outside, even though you're beautiful. There's many, many ways to be beautiful. So I'm going to challenge you all today to learn more about Purim. If you know somebody Jewish, wish them happy Purim. If you don't, wish everybody happy Purim. Take this as an opportunity to educate yourself about other people's religion and why it's important to Unitarian Universalism. One of the things that we share, Unitarian, one God, with Judaism is one God. It is part of the same idea that there isn't a Trinity, and so we have some connections. The other connection we have is the founding of this church. And, you know, the Solomons were pretty involved. I see some kids over here of theirs. And brings Judaism into the tradition of this particular church in a way that is important, part of our identity, and makes us even cooler than we were before. Let's do a big ooh-ah for that. Ooh-ah. And if you want to go dress silly and take people's presents today, I affirm that. And now it is time for religious education. Ooh-ah. So please join me in singing our young folks downstairs for religious education. If you're new around here, if you're high school age or younger and you want to go downstairs with other people your age, you are welcome to go now. Special music time.
One quick word about Felix Arndt, who
Will you use
wrote
the microphone?
this.
Here. Oh, it's stretched.
This is a story that is like happy and sad at the same time. Nola was a song, a gift to his fiancée. Written in, I think, 1918 about. Unfortunately, Arndt died in the Spanish flu pandemic, so he was a very young man and gone already, and such a talented guy. I think this is a piece you've heard before, and you said, "What's that?" Now you know.
My goodness. That is so fun. Thank you. Thank you both so much for that gift of talent. Appreciate you. So let's take a deep breath together and shift from that energy into a space of calm and collection. The meditation today is All We Have Been, All That We Will Become by Leslie Fales. All that we have been separately and all that we will become together is stretched out before us and behind us. Like stars scattered across a canvas of sky, we stand at the precipice, arms locked together like tandem skydivers, working up the courage to jump. Tell me, friends, what have we got to lose? Our fear of failure? Our mistrust of our own talents? What have we got to lose? A poverty of the spirit? The lie that we are alone? What wonders await us in this space between the first leap and the moment our feet, our wheels, however we move our bodies across this precious earth, touch down softly on unknown soil? What have we got to lose that we can't replace with some previously unimagined joy? Blessed are you, Spirit of life, who has sustained us, enlivened us, and enabled us to reach this moment. Give us courage in our leaping and gratitude in our landing. And share with us the joy of a long and fruitful ministry together. This has been a glorious week, weather-wise, the last couple days, and joys come in many packages. For me, joy was pulling English ivy off of a tree and trying to swing off of it. You never know where the joys come from. Sorrows have hit me. Illness of family members, upheaval of people I love, the news, the fact that Tennessee isn't one of those states that's ratified for women's rights, the fact that people are hungry for nourishing places to be, to expand their mind, and to be welcomed and to belong. And in the spirit of life is complicated, and there are many reasons to light candles, and there are many reasons to celebrate. Now is the time in our service where I would invite you forward to light a candle to mark a joy or concern or everyday occurrence that's happened to you this week. an extra candle for the folks online who are joining us today, as well as any joys or concerns people have in their hearts. Spirit of love and life surround us. Spirit of humor, spirit of sadness be with us. Remind us in the hard times that there is joy. Remind us that life is complicated and we are tough. Remind us that we are in a community together, not alone, and that this is a place that we can share our joys and concerns. May it be so. The Feast of Lots. How strange. What a strange name for something. But it is referring to, and please don't boo and hiss or I'll lose my mind. It's referring to the book of Esther and the fact that Haman had set the execution date for the Jewish people with dice. How crass. How hard. Today I want to talk about something that when I looked it up, I didn't find a lot of answers. So I looked it up and thought as I do on it. And that is this concept that I say a lot, which is storming the castle from the inside. And what I mean by that is becoming part of something so that we can make change together. I don't mean taking over and pushing my own agenda. I mean that collaborative change from the inside. And that's really what's happening with Esther. I won't do it. That's really what's happening with Esther is she is undercover brave. She's going to be executed if she finds out that she's lied about being Jewish. In many Christian traditions and many Jewish traditions, the theme of this story is that God is always present no matter what's going on and has a plan. And if anybody's heard me preach, you know that I am not down with the God has a plan trope very well. I think that when we focus on that, we take the power out of Esther. Yes, Esther is surrounded by her religion. It's part of what makes her strong and brave, but she deserves the credit for this. She deserves the credit for changing things from the inside. And that's one of the things I love about her is she has a party when she does it. Because that's what we forget to do so much is when we make change, we forget to celebrate, don't we? We move on to the next thing. We look at it as a task. Oh, we changed that. What's wrong now? We forget to deepen in and to use our influence to celebrate those moments of beauty because that's what gets us through when things are hard. There is amazing, I'm going to talk about money, which seems really interesting because that's not kind of the part of this story, but I want to talk about money and investing a little bit today, and everybody just went to sleep, and that's fine. That's fine. You can still listen for a minute. So there's a Unitarian Universalist connection right now. In Unitarian Universalism right now, the youth and young adults have gathered together to ask our denomination to divest from oil, which means that we use our investments in a way that create prosperity, that create love of the earth, and fight climate change. And this might not seem dicey. That seems pretty easy, right? That seems like logical, honestly. We're Unitarian Universalists, for crying out loud. We're a green sanctuary. We're working on renewing it. Why wouldn't we do that? Well, because a lot of the original monies that we had came from European gas. And some of our amazing work has been paid for with that money, and it's time to make a shift. And that doesn't just mean, I don't think we're going to make Exxon broke by not investing in them. I mean, I think they're too big, right? I don't think that we can change things by just ignoring them or diverting our money somewhere else. I mean, it works, it's helpful, but there's a more strategic way to do this. And there's actually a company in Holland who I am just enamored with now. And the name of this, the mission, I want to share the mission first. Shareholders compel oil and gas companies to change course by putting their brains and billions behind renewable energy. Mark Van Baal is the founder of Follow This. That was the word I was looking for. And I love Mother Jones Magazine, another little rag that is a little on my liberal thinking. I'm a big fan of Mother Jones. I will bore you about her later, or not bore you because she's awesome. But this is why oil companies are having to change. Investors have stepped up. The only way these companies are going to change is when investors massively vote for these kinds of resolutions. So what they're doing is people are investing and getting shares in these companies like Exxon, and they're doing it in a group. And you can go to the website, it's called Follow This, once again, and you can participate in this. And even if you aren't somebody with a lot of wealth, you can use part of your wealth to invest. So you wonder if this works or not. I want to tell you a story about the Bank of America. So when I was in Northern Virginia and becoming a Unitarian Universalist, it was after the real estate market had crashed, and there was tremendous blight in our neighborhood. And so we found out that Bank of America and J.P. Morgan Chase and several companies, Wells Fargo, had benefited from selling bad mortgages to immigrants specifically. And we were having terrible blight in our neighborhood, and you'd have this beautiful house proud here, and then this next house would be a lot where the windows were all broken out. It was a little chaotic. It was unsafe because people were living in those houses who shouldn't have been next door to people. Yeah, I don't know. It was a mess. So what we did is we didn't go and try to fix those houses up, because that's the first reaction, right? Let's beautify the neighborhood. Let's fix it up. No, instead, we got proxies to shareholders for the Bank of America meeting, and we went. And one of the ministers I was with got to the mic and explained to them what their money was doing in Prince William County, Virginia. And when I say storm the gates from the inside, that's the kind of strategic stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about shifting our investments, not just investing in local and black-owned businesses that are green. That is one way, but also to take the opportunity, if we are invested in some things that are problematic, use that power for change. Exxon is not able to ignore this anymore. They are now working on green energy initiatives at the force of their shareholders. We can't just change the world by overthrowing capitalism. Tomorrow, I don't really know how we'd function, and I don't know how that would work, but we can use our money in a way that supports justice and supports people and supports this earth. We can think about what we're doing, and it's going to take some change from the inside first. We have to rethink the fact that it's going to cause discomfort, that I might lose a little something along the way. It's about the greater good. And that's what Esther was about too. She was about the greater good, not just wiping out the Persian people. Oh, that kind of happened later. Wiping them out during the story, but also about fitting in and making change from the inside. Finding ways that I like to find a way around the rules to I almost said manipulate for justice. Maybe that's an interesting phrase. To make changes for justice. It's going to cause some discomfort. It's no different than, for example, we're not shopping at Starbucks in our family anymore because of some of their hiring practices and blah, blah, blah. And it causes some discomfort because I have to make my own cup of coffee before I get in the car. But as a consolation prize, and probably with the money I saved from Starbucks, I got an espresso machine. You know, like, you just shift how you're doing. let's be uncomfortable, but let's not suffer, y'all, because I'm not Catholic anymore, and I'm done with that. It's also in guilt, yeah. Let's be creative, and let's be joyful about how we're changing our behaviors to support people who deserve our support. Maybe I love driving home, and I drive through the neighborhood, straight down Germantown Road, on and on and on and on until Hickson. And there's this guy out there who makes fish sandwiches. And it seems like an awkward place for me to pull over the side of the road and have a fish sandwich, specifically in my clergy collar and my electric car. But I'll tell you what, I'd much rather pull over there than drive through McDonald's, because I am making a statement with my money of how I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use it the most ethically I can. But I'm also going to never forget I'm not perfect. And there's no shaming. I like that shame came up because of Catholicism. Because we often get in a trope where those people who have more, well, my car is electric and I only eat organic food and I'm helping there. You know, it's not a competition. It's a collaborative, shared ministry for the earth. It's a shared ministry for people and each other. It's not about who has more and who can show off their organic compost pile or who's driving their neighbors crazy with chickens. It's not about that. It's about love. It's about thoughtfulness with our money and resources. It's about every dollar's important, no matter if it's 1 or 100, if it is used towards justice. And if we only remembered once in a while to do that, we could really make some change in the world. By taking care of our money in this ethically thoughtful way, it becomes easier to not participate in the parts of capitalism that really, really hurt people. It's possible to have power together with money without disrupting Bank of America meetings, although that was very fun. I want to tell you that was a very good time. And don't get me started about the GE meeting, because that was even funner. Yeah, but there's joy and there's ways to move towards justice without protesting. Protesting is important, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the visual out front of it. And I want to remind you, as I do, of the words of Cornel West, but not the ones I usually say. That Cornel West says that justice is what love looks like in public. And we have to think about how we're using our money to love people. And yeah, I might have to make my own espresso and whatever. Come over to my house, I'll make you one too. But it's an honor to do that. It's an honor to love the earth that way. It's an honor to care about not my future, but the future of people I don't even know who are part of my immediate family right now. This is a place of shared ministry, which means we have some collective power for change and justice. And I am so excited to be part of that. Let's be thoughtful about a little change and generosity in our hearts so that we can move it out into the way we spend money, the way we treat people, and the way we care for the earth, which is part of our mission. May it be so, and blessed be. Yesterday was the privet pull around here, which is why I was swinging from a English ivy vine down in the woods. I wouldn't advise it. Terry was better at it than me, I'm just going to say that. But there are so many ways to share talent. Leilani and Steve shared a beautiful talent with the music. We have Selena's leadership now with talent with music. We have a stewardship campaign, stay tuned, getting ready to bubble up. We have all kinds of ways to support this, but my favorite thing that we're supporting this week is our teenagers who haven't really come back to church full force yet are at the Mountain Learning and Retreat Center for a youth conference this weekend with our Director of Religious Education and our Chair of Religious Education. Creating space for Unitarian Universalism in the future is that same kind of investment I was talking about. And this church's vision is related to that investment in the future for our kids and to make brave space for them to grow and nurture and become who they are as both spiritual people and people who love justice in the world. So we are getting ready to take the offering. I want you to be thoughtful today about that offering is going towards things like we paid for half of the tuition for them to go. We rented a van. We need that to perpetuate our mission and to hand it gently to the next generation with love, not baggage. We want to support us in community no matter what our age from beginning to end. This is a place of shared ministry and love, and I welcome you. If you have the means today to share with us, if you do not, let that plate pass you on by, and the offering will be gratefully received. Do you know about shaflaws? It's silly. It's where you go shh, 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 shh. But I like applause better, so we're good. It's a churchy, quiet way to clap, but we like clapping. Please join me in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care. Create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. And now it's time for the closing song, but I'm going to just talk very slow about it for a minute. And we had a lot of stage changes today, so. All right, so I would love for folks to rise in body and or spirit. Do you have any additions to that?
I just want to say you can use one of the songbooks for this, or you can look at the words on the screen. We've taken a little bit of poetic license with the lyrics, so you might want to pay attention to the changes that are on the screen.
But sing loud either way so we know which one you're doing. Okay.
person in the world had their mind set on freedom, if every person in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every person of every nation, young and old, a generation, held their hands out in the name of love, there'd be no more war. If every leader in the world if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there'd be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation in a culture of peace, if every sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there'd be no more war.
Be seated. So what? So what will be quick? So what, we have a congregational vote after this. I want to talk about what that is. We have a practice of something called congregational polity, which means the members of this body are in charge of the governance of this body. And so part of the way that we can show love today is if you're a member, you stick around and you vote yes for the new bylaws. I'm using a little bit of ministerial pushiness, which I normally don't do, but they've been worked on so hard by Dady and Talia and Charlotte and the board, and it's been a labor of love for a year, and I just want to say that this is one of those documents that has a vision for the future, and I'm just really blown away by their work. So we are going to be having a vote after. Don't vote often, but do stay and vote. You'll get a blue tag. If you haven't signed in, sign in. And while announcements are going on, if you are a member and you need to sign in really quick, please do that. And I think that's all my so what's for now. But we will extinguish our chalice so we can get on with the business end. This is the sacred time together, and now we're going to move into the sacred practice of democracy, which is super important to who we are. So stick around. It will be fun, or if you have no interest, it won't. So let's extinguish our chalice. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of love, the warmth of fire of commitment. We carry in our hearts and share with all the world. I looked down for 1 second and forgot that. I've read it 150,000 times. So, well, without further ado, is it time for announcements? I think you have an announcement, sir. Okay. All right, we got an important one. I don't know where I put the microphone, but, oh, there it is. Okay.
You guys know that I like that stuff. So please mark your calendars. Saturday, March 25th. You heard a lot about talents today. A lot of talents were shared today. I loved already the spirit outside. I put 3 tennis balls out there, and Erica kind of showed it right away, kind of how to juggle tennis balls. But not just that. So March 25th, 6 p.m., There's a sign-up sheet outside. Please share your talents with us. We had wonderful talents like Marge sharing with us her miniature scenes last year, or Terry and Gary about fostering animals, and there was lots of music and lots of other talents. So please kind of go outside, kind of share kind of your talent. You can also share your talent by bringing 10 people in on March 25th. You will get a special spot in during that evening as well. And if anybody is interested in helping a little bit, maybe with some finger foods for the evening so they have an enjoyable evening, see me and talk to me as well.
If you need a piano player, talk to me.
So, yeah, if you need accompanist, piano, guitar, let us know. We can help.
I'll make this quick. I just want to make sure that I've made a special thank you to Leilana Beers for playing with me this morning, her debut here. And I want you to know that if you let me know that you play the piano, that could be your fate also.
I heard Steve say he was a promiscuous duet player. So
Last week, we collected food for the food pantry, and I'm pleased to announce to you that we delivered 165 pounds of food. And just so you don't slack off too much, the talent show is on March 25th. On March 26th, we will again collect food for the food pantry, and please bring your donations.
I'm here to mention about our book group called Books and Beyond. We're going to be meeting again in April. I think it's the 25th. And the book is A Gentleman in Moscow. And one of the blurbs is a book to spark joy, which it is. So I hope you'll join us. There's a sign up on the table in the back.
Just a reminder, there's a Social Justice Committee meeting after the vote today, and if you really want to spend all day doing things like I will be, Pilgrim Church is having, they're starting a series of looking at things in the community, and the first one is LGBTQ. Hope I didn't miss any of them, and forgive me if I did, but what is this? What is LGBTQ? What does that mean? What are some of the terms that are changing? And how do we address what's happening in our state and in our community right now? So I don't know if we'll get to all those things. I'm going to go this afternoon. It starts at 3 o'clock.
our service is over. May our service to the world begin and our meeting.
Hey, everybody. If you are a member of this congregation and are staying to vote, please gather in the sanctuary. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Yes, come, whoever you are, as long as you're a voting member. So, we are going to vote on our bylaws. We had a quorum, and so if you signed in and have your green card, please come up so that we can vote. Okay. Does everybody have their green card? Okay. Can somebody help me count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay. All right. So I counted 27. But we have people online. Okay. Thank you all. The quorum has been established. So we had a long process of establishing these bylaws. It started back last year, or maybe even the year before. I don't know how long this has been going on. Forever. Dady and Charlotte are here, who are on the core team of making these revisions possible. Talia is unfortunately not able to join us, but she is, I think, joining online. But let's just give them a round of applause for how great they've been. Tirelessly editing and holding meetings. So we held several listening sessions and revision sessions of these bylaws, so they are about as tight as they can be. And so I'm just going to open it up. Can somebody motion? Being the parliamentarian here, I need a motion. Judy moves. Second. Rich seconds. Okay. Now here's the part where we are just going to discuss the motion to vote. Is everybody ready to vote?
We are not discussing the bylaws. We are discussing the motion to vote.
Yeah, so awesome. Thank you, Judy. All right. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you, Steve. So can somebody please move that we vote? No. Do what now? We have to vote on calling the question. Oh, we have to vote on calling the question. Okay. So if you want to vote in favor of voting, raise your green card. Okay. Okay. All right. Abstains? All right. So now, if you're in favor of the new bylaws, please raise your placard. Yeah. All right. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? We have one abstention. All right, the bylaws are passed.
Well, online
What? Oh.
We need to see what's going on online. They're rolling in.
Okay. Okay, great. I had a little dance planned for when we pass them. Not really.
We are quieter than we are during
The anticipation.
I know, but it was also Carly Simon. So. But I do like Heinz ketchup. They're probably terrible.
Oh, don't say that.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
thank
I
you,
didn't
Davey.
know the
Thank you.
ketchup I wanted.
Awesome. So the online votes have unanimous, and with one abstention, but the rest, yes, we are in business. Thank you all.
One clarifying thing about these bylaws we've all approved. These come into effect in the new church year. We are still operating under the old bylaws until the new church year. I know it's exciting and we want to use them sooner because bylaws are so fun to use, but I don't know. But just keep in mind that this actual shift, if you'd like a copy, if you're new and just listening to what's going on and you'd like to look at them, they're online everywhere, and Farron can help you if you need a paper copy. And thank you for participating in the democratic process. Yay!
Adjourned.